John, patriot of earth.
Okay, we're back again.
Yeah, that's right. We're back, Yuki, and we're gonna play Name That Tune before we start. Okay, and I want you to name this tune. I'm gonna sing it, and you're gonna say what it is. Ready? It goes like this.
Okay.
Bow ba da down bow 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 ba da down bow 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 ba da down bow 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 ba da down bow 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 bow. You know what it is?
007.
Oh, how did you know? How the hell did you know?
The 007 theme song. So
If you play that backwards, it says Satan is good, Satan is great, Satan is the best. I love Satan. No, it's that yeah, that we're talking about James Bond 007.
the Amazon just bought the rights from the producers at the
That's right, the Broccolis.
Broccolis and then Wilson. Yeah,
It's a big deal, right? Because this is the first time in 60, 70 years that the Broccolis haven't been in creative control, right?
right. So well, it's a good news and the bad news. Like Kathleen Kennedy, the Amazon could ruin the Bond.
Imagine.
Well, look, Disney screw up whole Star Wars thing. So you never know, the Amazon could destroy the 007 franchise.
You never know because okay, okay, just to get into it, we'll go into the older stuff because that's some of my favorite stuff, the original James Bond series. But the Daniel Craig series I really liked up until the very end. Now we're definitely going to get into spoilers here. So anybody who hasn't seen numerous James Bond movies and wants to watch them and not be spoiled, this isn't the podcast for you because we're going to be talking openly and freely about these movies, okay? The Daniel Craig ones, I would give them as a grade, say in high school, a 93%, right? I would give them 93 on the test. The reason I would take away those extra points, right, is because of the way that the last movie ended. Now, I don't care that James Bond didn't die, or died. Did he die?
Wow, looks like
No,
he
he
died.
did. He died.
Then, if the James Bond dies, and then series should end.
Right. So this is my issue with it, is that he dies sacrificing himself so that I remember it's like the missiles come and he saves the day, right? But wouldn't it be more interesting because James Bond shouldn't die, not in my opinion. I don't think he should die. It should have been more interesting because he was injected with some sort of a serum that makes him infectious to people, right? He's like an infectious disease. And I think it would be interesting if he saves the day and then the final scene is like him on like a hillside and he's looking down and he sees his wife and kid in the distance and he's always going to be watching over them. He's always going to, but he can never go near them because he'll get them sick. But he's always going to be there. And then you start the theme. So James Bond lives on to fight another day. He is just haunted, and it's more haunting this way that he can never reach his family, right? But if he's just dead, it's like, all right, well, James Bond would have figured out a way to save the day and survive. He wouldn't just stand there and go, "Let the missiles take me." I don't know. So that part I didn't really like, but other than that, I love it.
I thought that was over the top. It's ridiculous. Come
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
it's not a Marvel movie.
Yeah, I just feel like this some much more clever way. Like it's not to keep comparing it to Star Wars, but it's much like the way Ryan Johnson I felt killed Luke Skywalker just to be like, oh, I'm the guy who killed Luke Skywalker. When narratively, you could have had Luke go into the next movie and still be a part of it without killing him. Why? Because he used the Force too hard? Like, they kill these characters. People don't want the main characters to die, right? And I feel like a lot of times when they kill a main character, it's for shock value and it doesn't really add anything other than like, oh, they're dead now, and then it leaves the fucking audience bummed, right? you want the heroes to succeed and survive. That's the whole reason we go to the goddamn movies, is to see good triumph over evil, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Like, okay, Han Solo getting killed, that made sense because his son turned to the dark side, fully turned to the dark side by killing him. But Luke, like, he was such a bitch and he wouldn't help anybody. And then finally he like projects himself with the force across the galaxy and dies. I don't find that heroic, really. It's kind
No,
of a
because
cop out.
I thought that he felt guilty about he failed to train Kylo Ren. That Han Solo's son, he turned the dark side.
Right, but wouldn't if you hear Kylo Ren killed Han Solo, he's after your sister, he's gonna fucking destroy the galaxy. You wouldn't be such a we're turning this into a Star Wars discussion, but you wouldn't be such a fucking asshole that you'd be like, well, I'm still staying on this island, and then I'm gonna project myself with the Force and die, and I still haven't even really solved the problem because I'm dead. It's just stupid. Fuck that shit. Same thing with the goddamn James Bond death. It should have been more haunting. That hero should have figured out a way out of death.
Yeah, I thought that if he died, should be more like a human, normal human way. Gunshot or, stabbing or, I mean, come on, the opening the arm and then
Yeah.
missile.
Like Jesus Christ pose or some shit. Fuck that
I
shit.
think the totally bullshit. Yeah,
No,
no.
yeah. Okay. So now that we got that out of the way, the good things about the Daniel Craig, the action sequences were always awesome. It was very grounded in reality, unlike a lot of the other James Bond stuff, which is completely outrageous, like Moonraker or when Roger Moore was 90 years old, fucking what's her name, Grace Jones.
Great. Well, I did. I mean, Mission Impossible too. I mean, those should be the spy movie, espionage, but it became action movie. So to me, it's like only pure, spy movie is the second one, From Russia with Love.
Oh, that's my favorite one. That's my fucking favorite James Bond movie. Yes.
And that the Robert shows, that the attache case,
Yep.
knife. I mean, that's
Simple.
like
The big thing is just a simple fight on a train.
right.
It's this build up. This whole movie's building up to this fight, and then it's so quick and violent. It's just like so satisfying. Robert Shaw and fucking Robert Connery, Sean Connery go duke it out, and it's fucking over, and you're like, holy shit, that was so worth it. Yeah.
And then I like Sean Connery's Bond sense of humor. One movie, he goes visiting a woman in a hotel room, and then she was taking the bath, and then she goes, "Can I have something wear?" And then he tosses like a slipper.
I remember that. Yes.
So it's really sense of humor, a humanizer, and then at the same time he's a great spy. But the more it goes, like you said, the Moonraker, it's like a big action movie, and then the story takes place in the space. Come on, give me a break. What kind of spy movie is that?
Well, they were definitely trying to capitalize on the Star Wars craze. So that is how this James Bond relates, is that Moonraker was definitely in.
Especially Moonraker was the same year, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure it was in reaction, or at least in the vein of stuff like, space is huge. We need to make a fucking James Bond in space.
Then when the James Bond going to some science lab, and then when he pressed the key button, and the music was from the Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I mean, come on, be serious. I mean, so the more they make it, it's becoming more joke. So maybe Ian Fleming is just, putting his hair under the ground. Maybe like, oh my God, they're ruining my Bond.
Maybe I heard that in the Bond books he's even more of a bastard and even more fucking of a womanizer and like kind of a rapist.
Well, that's good, right? I mean, he's a
Is
woman.
it good? That's good. What are you
Well,
crazy?
I mean, as a spy, spies sometimes sleep around to get the information.
Spies sleep around, but they don't rape around, Yuki.
He raped the woman.
Somebody told me who read the books is like he's very rapey in the books. Now I don't know. I never read any of the books, but there are some questionable scenes.
He likes to have sex, maybe. I don't
Oh, he
know.
loves sex. That James Bond is a sexual carnivore. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff to talk about because you mentioned Ian Fleming. Did you know that Ian Fleming was accused of plagiarism?
No, I didn't know that. No.
So I don't know the full details, and I'm just recounting what I remember hearing. Is that okay? You know how there was multiple different kinds of bonds at a certain point where Sean Connery made a bond while Roger Moore was still Bond, right? So originally, Ian Fleming writes Casino Royale and maybe writes a couple of other books or something, and then they some writers used the Bond character and wrote the screenplay for Thunderball, which ended up being the fourth movie. Okay, it
Never say never again.
yes. That's flash forward. So to for the origin of this, Ian Fleming invented James Bond, wrote a book or two. Some writers took the character of James Bond, wrote an original story called Thunderball, and had it be a screenplay. Ian Fleming, before the movie Thunderball ever got made, took the screenplay of Thunderball and wrote it into a novelization. Didn't credit those writers. So then what happened was those writers sued at some point. I don't know if it was when the movie was out or whatever, and they ended up retaining the rights to just the Thunderball story. And the Thunderball story is where they introduce stuff like Blofeld and Spectre and many of the things that make James Bond villains and the world much bigger and more interesting than just James Bond running around being a spy. So flash forward down the line when Sean Connery was like, "Yeah, I'll fucking make another Bond." He went and made Never Say Never Again with those original writers who made Thunderball, and all they did was readapt Thunderball into the James Bond universe. And they made a competing James Bond movie. I don't remember what movie came out at the same time with Roger Moore, but they basically in the same year had an unauthorized competing James Bond because of the lawsuit and all that. Did you?
Oh, what movie came out the same year was Never Say Never Again?
Uh, I don't think it was the one with it was the one before the one with Christopher Walken. The one with Christopher Walken was A View to a Kill, right? Whatever was before A View to a Kill, maybe For Your Eyes Only or maybe. It was one of those like 1980, 1979 James Bonds. And now full disclosure with me, the Roger Moore ones, I've seen 3 or 4 of them, but I haven't seen all of them. Octopussy's one I've never seen. Is that good?
It's the same.
Same. So that might be the one that was competing with Never Say Never Again.
Right, because, 1980, that was The Spy Who Loved Me.
Okay, so it might be The Spy Who Loved Me, maybe?
No, that was too early. Then
Oh,
the next one is a Moonraker.
it's not Moonraker, it's whatever's after Moonraker.
Then must be Octopussy.
Octopussy is probably so yeah. So those writers and so this is interesting. This is really interesting actually. Before all that, before they made Never Say Never Again, those same writers adapted with Sean Connery. This is an unproduced screenplay. It's called James Bond of the Secret Service. And they used the template of Thunderball to remake this movie, and they were gonna make it, and it has fucking sharks with like laser beams and shit. The way that they joke about it in Austin Powers saying, you got sharks with freaking laser beams. This movie ends with New York City's subways or sewers getting flooded, and sharks go in, and James Bond has to fight sharks in New York City. It's like Sharknado before Sharknado. I swear to God. I'll put a link below to that unproduced screenplay. The movie is very strange. The screenplay is very strange up until that point, and then it gets even stranger. Like there's one scene where James Bond's in a whirlpool, and like one of the villains like turns it on so high that he's like spinning around in the whirlpool, getting like knocked around, just like crazy shit. Crazy.
Oh man.
All right, so what about some of your favorite? Like, okay, did you like Doctor No? A lot of people say the original first James Bond, Doctor No. Some people say that's very boring. Did you like that one?
Ursula Andress
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
bikini thing, the classic. Oh, my favorite is beside from Russia with the Goldfinger, the Aston Martin. That's, if you are kid, boy, that's a boy's dream car.
well, I love Goldfinger. I think it's got it. That was the one that elevated it. I mean, obviously, From Russia with Love is my favorite because it's so simple and good. But Goldfinger is the one where they started to put in the cartoon elements. They started to put in all like that scene where the laser beam is going closer and closer to his balls.
But I mean, it was good, right? I mean, that the Aston Martin was great, and the Goldfinger, and then what was that? Pussycat.
Pussy galore.
Yeah, that what's the British actress, Ona Blackman.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
implied in that movie that she likes women and that James Bond is so hot and sexy that she just can't stand it anymore and needs to take him as a
yeah.
man.
They always like it's an enemy, but the Bond sleep with them. From woman, Bond is the enemy, but they still like to sleep with him.
He's irresistible in that gray, tight gray suit. You can't get rid of him. You need to fuck him. Now,
Yeah, gadgets.
oh yeah, the gadgets. Yeah, I love that shit.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite Bond girl? Like the favorite one that you remember?
Oh, my favorite title, Barbara Bach from The Spy Who Loved Me.
That's yes.
Best Russian spy.
I love it. Here's another piece of information. So I watched this documentary about Bill Cosby that the guy this comedian did. I forgot his name, Kamal something Kamal. He used to have a TV show. So he did this documentary, and one of the things he said was that Bill Cosby, for all his horrible things that he did, he also was very helpful to certain aspects of the entertainment industry, like black stunt people and stuff like that. But they used an example from one of the Bond movies where before they started incorporating black stunt people, they used to have stunt people for black actresses and actors that were white men in blackface. So they slowed down one scene. I forgot which Bond movie it is, but they slow it down, and so Bond like throws a woman over a table. And when you show it in slow motion from the next shot, it's a dude in an afro wig with like brown makeup on. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking. And I guess, like, back then, you didn't have rewind and fast forward and pause and all that stuff. So they never expected that you would be able to slow it down and see that it was a guy in a stunt brown face. But they fucking threw it. And nowadays you see it and you realize, hey, Bill Cosby kind of did help and gets, because it's like, yeah, if you're going to have a stunt person, they might as well look like the actor or actress, not just some white dude in an afro wig.
I see.
It's crazy. What Yeah, what about like the Bond movie that was not the Bond movie, Casino Royale, that Woody Allen was in?
Oh, that was yeah, the comedy one, right? Then when Daniel Craig did it, it's more like a serious Bond movie. But the original one was yeah, it's comedy, and then I think it's different from the series. It's comedy, so I don't like comical ones. So I didn't see it.
Yeah, I never saw that either. I also think that they did some sort of like a TV play slash movie of Bond before everything ever came out, before the movies.
I don't know that. No.
Yeah. Um, what about the Blofelds? Who do you like? Telly Savalas, Donald Pleasance?
He was that's you only live twice, and they shot in Japan, and then
Yeah.
the Japanese Bond girl was good.
She was great, but what do you think about Sean Connery and dressing up like a Japanese?
So like putting the hair and then wigs. Well, back then maybe nobody cares, but if they do that now, people say, "Oh, that's racist. That's this and that." I'm sure people will make noise. White people playing Japanese.
He looked more like Mr. Spock than a Japanese guy. It's fucking. It's like, yeah, let's just make him look like Leonard Nimoy, and then we'll say he's Japanese. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a little ridiculous. So, but I mean, I think just the entertaining parts, like and then the bathroom, and then you have like a 5 6 guards with them, like well, can be done, but very expensive if you do that.
What do you think about Pierce Brosnan?
Well, I mean, if it doesn't call 007 James Bond, it's okay as a just a action movie. But I'm not really buying him as a James Bond.
Yeah, his movies. I didn't really particularly care for. I liked Goldeneye, the best out of all those. That one was pretty good. But yeah, it was like a weird time for the Bond movies because it was like they just got too ridiculous. I mean, too fucking ridiculous. And if they had given Pierce Brosnan a grounded James Bond film, it would have been much better. I think he would have actually stepped up to the occasion and done a good job. But they just never gave him something that was like really good in terms of the concept or the script or the execution.
His sense of humor not as good as Sean Connery.
Well, who is? I mean, Roger Moore came the closest probably
Yeah.
in terms of charisma. Oh, what about George Lazenby? What do you think about On Her Majesty's Secret Service? He only played him one time.
Oh, that's right. Well, I think that that movie is stand out by itself to me. It's a I don't want to compare to Sean Connery or Roger Moore. The George Lazenby in the movie was good as it is. I think that movie can be, just stand alone and don't connect them. Just to see it as a standout alone movie, and then I can accept that, and then it's not that bad.
Yeah, I love that movie. I think that's one of the best James Bond movies. And if Sean Connery had stayed on, no offense to George Lazenby, I think he does a great job. But it is it's different, and you have to get used to him. And he doesn't stay long enough for you to get used to him as James Bond. It's like so quick, and he's out, he's in and out. But he did make one of the best James Bond movies. And I think if Sean Connery had stayed and done that movie, many would regard it as the best.
But I think the mistake is if you're a spy, you cannot get married. That's a rule. You cannot get married. You can't have family. But that's a big mistake in the ending. Then of course, your newlywed wife is get killed. You fucked because you married. You try to have family. You fuck.
Yeah, you're putting your goddamn wife in harm's way because, of course, you're going to fucking thwart some terrorist organization. And they go, yeah, who was that guy who just fucked us up? Let's go find his house and destroy him. And then, of course, the wife's home.
Really annoying ending, because come on, who, if you spy, you can't get married. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I'm looking here. Live and Let Die was the one where they had the blackface. There's a picture of it, and it is fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So, actress Gloria Hendry, Bond girl Rosie Carver, actually had a white male stunt double whose skin was darkened for the part. There weren't any black female stunt doubles at the time. That's crazy. In 1973.
That movie is the worst one, and then I think only two good things about that movie. One is that the car stunt when the car jumped the river, and then 360 that time.
Yeah.
And then Paul McCartney's song. Those two things the best.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about theme songs. I mean, Paul McCartney's theme song is tops, right? I love Nobody Does It Better, Carly Simon.
Yes.
That's a great song.
I like Shirley Bassey's Goldfinger too, though.
Goldfinger's great. I like that a lot of them, the theme songs that they use, kind of take the James Bond theme, like and sort of rewrite it and incorporate it in there. I like that, but not all of them. Some of them do. But nobody does it better. Carly Simon. There's a clip of Tom York from Radiohead, and he performs that song live. But before he sings it, he goes, "This is the sexiest song ever written." Tom York is beaten off to Carly Simon. I'll tell you that much.
Stupid thing is they did was which movie? They did Die Another Day, Madonna, and she's even in it.
Yeah, I didn't like that song. Die Another Day. I don't like that song.
Maybe she said, "Let me be in the movie so I can sing it for you."
Right. But yeah, I think the best is Goldfinger, Live and Let Die, and The Spy Who Loved Me. Nobody Does It Better. Those are the three tops to me. What about Timothy Dalton?
Oh, he is too. I don't know. He's not not funny, and then too stiff, and then I don't know. He's the least like Bond.
Well, but in the books, I think he's supposed to be sort of like a cold-blooded assassin, and Timothy Dalton in those movies is a cold-blooded motherfucker. He's not charismatic. He's all about his job. All he wants to do is his fucking spy job and go home, and he's not even that horny in those movies. I mean, he's horny, of course, he has a little bit, but he's kind of like, yeah, he's too serious. The thing I liked about Daniel Craig is there were moments of levity. They did have jokes and stuff, or moments where Bond had a little bit of a lighthearted attitude every once in a while.
Daniel Craig he's funny without being funny, I think.
What do you mean? Just his face? What do you mean?
I remember that when he was naked, sitting in the chair, and the bad guy hitting his ball from the behind.
I remember that. That hurt my soul when I saw that scene.
And then the Daniel Craig says, "Oh, he's scratching my ball or something," and then. I thought that was funny, but he wasn't funny, but he was funny.
Yeah, he wasn't funny, but he was funny. Actually, so I was wrong about the original Casino Royale, the comedy one. It's not Peter O'Toole. I don't know why I thought it, but it's David Niven played James Bond, and Peter Sellers was his like he was in that movie, and Ursula Andress and Orson Welles. Holy shit! Wow. And then yeah, Woody Allen. That's interesting. I'll check this out. I mean, it's got like it's got a 2.4 on Letterbox, which isn't very good. But sometimes the lower rating movies I like more than people think. Um, what about Bond villains that aren't Blofeld? Like, you had some interesting ones like Javier Bardem. Like fucking he's the guy who swung the fucking the balls, like you just said.
I like the Donald Please. He's good. And then the oh the what's that? The spy who loved me. What's his name? The German actor.
Let's see. I don't remember offhand. Uh, Spy who loved me. It's saying here that uh Kurt Jurgens.
Oh yeah. That I thought he was good, and then Geralt Freve from Goldfinger.
Oh yeah, he's great. And then of course Robert Shaw. You got Quint himself, like as a fucking cold-blooded assassin. I mean, that movie opens up with him killing somebody, and then he's like after Bond immediately.
Yes, the Cold Blood. The Robot Show was good. Yeah,
And he barely talks, but he's got that stare.
Jaws was too funny. I mean, I'm not crazy about that.
Yeah, Jaws. He's got those big teeth, those big metal teeth, and he's like ah, and he's just like running around, just killing motherfuckers. What about Odd Job?
Oh, that's the best. I wanted the hat.
You should go for Halloween as Odd Job. No offense, none taken, but you would be a great Odd Job. You just walk around with the top hat, throwing it at people.
I love that. Fighting in basement.
Yeah, it's so funny because the Bond movies, they did these things and then instantly parody. Like they were just so classic and iconic that then everybody parodies them in all their stuff.
Right. And then that when that the nuclear bomb, when they stop it, it says 007. Some humor, I mean, I like. And then what was that? The spy who loved me when Roger Moore jumped from the cliff and then opened the parachute and that Union Jack.
Yeah.
Those sense of humor. I mean, it's really funny, fun, without being too comical. So, I like that they do it in the kind of beginning. These days, new ones, it's like, I don't know, it's just too comical to be funny. So,
Yeah. What do you think about the new Bond? Like, who do you think there's anybody that you personally, if you were in charge of casting, that you would put in there?
okay, again, the Bond cannot be a woman, it's a man. And then Bond has to be a British white guy, not the black guy, unless you're making another movie. No. If it's
Jesus.
007 James Bond, has to be British white guy.
Yuki, Jesus Christ, you're gonna get yourself canceled over here. I'm gonna have to put this clip underneath the $28,000 tier on the buffet because just fucking saying some crazy shit right now. Why can't he be black, Yuki?
Because the Ian Fleming didn't write as a black person. And, James Bond is a white.
Fair enough. I mean, if that's your logic, then
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm just following the book. I'm fine if somebody create black spy, fine. I may like it. But as long as his name is James Bond 007, no, it's like you can't change certain things. I mean, if it's any race, any sex is fine, it's fine. But if it's not, you can't change the sex, you can't change the race.
I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, I agree with that. I just think, but Idris Elba would make a great fucking James Bond. People keep saying that he might be it.
No, he might be a great spy, but not James Bond. He may be great James Bond, but unfortunately he's black, so he cannot be a James Bond.
Um, well, okay, so what white British actors do you think might make it?
Clive Owen.
See, he would have been great around earlier. Now he might be over the hill, right? He isn't he like in his 60s?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
too old.
But he would have been great.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't cast Daniel Craig, they should have gone, Clive Owen. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Gerald Butler, please no. People have mentioned him. Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a gentleman or anything, but he is more like a truck driver than
No, he's been good in movies. I like some Gerald Butler movies, and certain ones have surprised me being better than I thought they would be. But I don't think he's Bond. This people have also mentioned the guy Aaron Taylor Johnson or something like that. He played Kick Ass when he was very young. Then he played John Lennon in Nowhere Boy. I also don't think that he's necessarily the best choice.
I don't see him wearing a tuxedo and then talking to a nice lady and then having a martini. I don't see that.
He's very good in other movies. I thought he was very good in the John Lennon movie. I even thought he was good in Nosferatu, and people were giving him shit. I just thought he was fine. But as James Bond, you need a very specific, and even Daniel Craig was a little off the beaten path. My friend, when I went and saw the first Casino Royale, the first Daniel Craig one, I went with this Polish guy Bart, who I used to work with, and he came out. He hated it. He hated the movie. And he goes, "He looks like a fucking Russian spy. He doesn't look like James Bond." I guess he didn't like the way that Daniel Craig looked in the role. I thought he was fun. I liked Daniel Craig, and I thought he was really good, but he was different than the other Bonds. He did look more.
First one, when I saw the movie first time, I didn't like Daniel Craig. Then I saw the second time. I said, no, actually, I don't mind. So, yeah.
Daniel Craig is like the only James Bond that alludes to the fact that he's had homosexual experiences.
Oh, really?
Yeah, do you remember that part in the movie? That they had the gay bad guy. I think it was Javier Bardem, and he's got a Daniel Craig tied up, and Javier Bardem says something about being gay, and Bond retorts with like, "What do you think? I haven't tried it?" Or so. I'm paraphrasing, but he says something like that, clever, back to him, and everybody picked that up. It was like, Bond's gay. No, he's not gay. He fucks everybody.
Maybe that's why when first movie, when his ball get hit, he enjoyed it.
He's doing some S&M. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, Bond. I mean, look, if you're a spy and you got to go undercover or something and infiltrate, sometimes you got to seduce a man. It's just part of the job.
It's a job, you have to go, both ways, I think. Doesn't matter. You lie, you cheat, you kiss the man, you sleep with the man, you sleep with the woman,
Sometimes you go to an orgy. Sometimes, yeah, it's sounds like a good life. I want to be a spy.
But, I think a spy should do anything to get the information. I think that's, they are spy.
That's right. Christoph Waltz was Blofeld. I don't know how to say it. Blofeld. That also I didn't really think was that great because they made Bond like attached to Blofeld in the past. It suffers from that idea that everybody in the Star Wars universe has to be fucking related. Not everybody in every movie has to have a past with each other. And I think that cheapened their relationship because it's like, oh, I knew you when we knew each other when we were kids or younger or something. Why? Who? Why? It just why? There's no real reason for it, and it didn't really add anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, he was good, bad guy, the other movies, but I don't know. He wasn't. I didn't care much about him in this one.
Yeah, I think it was more about the writing than his acting. I mean, he could have been a great classic Blofeld with the cat and the fucking I'm gonna blow up the world and live in a volcano, but they just made it like, oh, I knew you when we used to go skiing when we were kids.
Good bad guy in something bastard. What was that?
Oh, and Glorious Bastards, fucking great. Yeah. Um, what else about James Bond, Yuki?
Well, I think it should end the story run out because you live only twice, and then the spy who loved me, it's very similar. Even the set looks similar. And the moon Laker, and then big bad guy headquarter, under the volcano. I mean, come on, it's the same thing. Or a big the submarine. I don't know. I think it's the story running out.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that there are pieces of James Bond media that haven't been adapted into movies, like from the novels and stuff that they could take, right? I'm sure they haven't adapted all the novels, have they?
Maybe that they should do is like, okay, the Bond is too old. He retired. Then maybe his adopted. He didn't get married. Okay, he married, but the newlywed wife, she was killed. So he adopted the boy, kid. You know, that was a black kid. Then he grew up. Then it is over. He can be take over.
Oh, so you're saying Son of Bond?
Yeah, it goes son of the Bond, and then he is 008, 009, whatever. Just don't call him James Bond and 007. He's just the son of Bond.
Oh, and then oh, here we go. This is how you do it. Yeah, it's the son of Bond. He adopted a black son, grew up. He's James Bond Jr.
Right.
He's 008. And then you have the son of Goldfinger come back, right? And he goes after the son of Bond, and you call the movie Gold Bond. And that way you can have the tie-in with the powder, and you can, you know how you powder your balls with Gold Bond medicated powder, like the baby powder. People, you sell Gold Bond as like the fucking sponsor of the movie.
There you go. Then I don't mind looking at him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gold Bond 008.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I like the James Bond movies. I still haven't seen all of them. There's a few I haven't seen. Maybe I'll go check some out. But sometimes they just get on my nerves. Not all of them. I mean, I really like a lot of them, but sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm going, why am I watching this? Yeah, it's the same, like you said, it's the same thing over and over. I've seen it a bunch of times. Is there really any scene in here that's going to top, the scene on the train with the Russian from Russia with Love? So it's hard to say to keep going, but I will check out the new ones because I like going to the theater for the James Bond movies. They're always very big and they always have very good cinematography and stuff like that. Did you see what was the best Bond you saw in the theater?
Well, when I started watching Goldfinger and from Russia, it wasn't a big screen. I still saw the movie theater, but old-fashioned movie theater. There's no good sound. But recently, I love the Spy Who Loved Me. I think that's the best.
Yeah.
That was a first movie I saw in the theater when I came to America. So that's why I remember.
Spy Who Loved Me?
Yeah, that was the very first one. First
That's
movie in the movie theater. And then I
wow.
saw Chinese theater.
That's fucking awesome. So the Bond holds a special place in your heart in America in cinema. Like you came to America, watched the James Bond movie.
And then ticket was $3. That was 1977.
That's amazing. Well, that was James Bond, Yuki. That's a great note to end on. Your first movie in America was the what was it? The Spy Who Loved Me,
By who loved me?
and that's a good one. Holy shit! All right, Yuki, that was a roller coaster ride of emotions talking about James Bond being a rapist and all that. But anybody who hasn't really seen these movies, the top ones that I would recommend: From Russia with Love, The Spy Who Loved Me, and then Goldfinger, Casino Royale.
Thunderbolt was good too, though.
Which one?
Thunderbolt.
Thunderball's good. Yeah. So I would recommend doing like one of each. Okay, so Sean Connery, I would say From Russia with Love. Roger Moore, The Spy Who Loved Me. The Timothy Dalton, I would say License to Kill. Of course, George Lazenby only did one, so watch that one anyway. Pierce Brosnan, I would say GoldenEye. Also, GoldenEye video game. The video game was amazing. You ever play that?
No.
One of the best video games ever made. Yeah, me and my brother would sit there for hours shooting each other and fucking going on missions. It was amazing. It was like battle mode. And then with the Daniel Craig one, I would say the one. Which one?
Casino Royale. First one.
No, I know. I'm trying to think if that's my favorite or the third one, Skyfall.
Well, the Skyfall only I like is Adele's song.
Well, anyway, keep watching the James Bond movies. Check them out. Definitely. I think Amazon has them all for streaming. If not, whatever. They're probably $2, $3. But yeah, don't fuck it up, Amazon. Do the right thing.
Don't fuck up, Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah, and don't forget, Yuki and I have a pitch for James Bond Jr. called Gold Bond. It'll be great. All right, so we just want to thank all of our patrons and all of our subscribers and all of the people who support us. This is insane, Yuki.
Really?
People seem to like us. There's still people listening in China. International, Yuki. You're an international podcast spy.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you next time at the buffet.
Join the Yuki. Bye.
Ding 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 ding. All right, cool. That's James Bond. All right, what's another one we're gonna? Well, you know what? Can I get a coffee real quick?
Yes, sure.
Yuki and John.